Okay, well, let's get talking to Adriano, and he loves talking because he was in lockdown for 11 weeks. And when he speaks about lockdown, it was like our lockdown. He wasn't allowed outside at all. But he's now not only allowed outside, but he has to come back inside to talk to us on Euroconnect, which is fantastic. Adriano, welcome to the show. First of all, Lazio dropped the ball, didn't they, midweek? And that means Juventus have just a little bit of chance to build on the momentum.
They did, Neil, and it's lovely to be inside chatting with you. Of course, thanks for having me. But a big week it was in Serie A with Lazio blowing a 2-goal advantage against Atalanta and eventually losing 3-2. Atalanta, the story that keeps on giving.
I mean, we spoke very briefly last week about even his sister, Ronaldo's sister, was questioning where he's playing and what he's playing for. Is that all going to go away now? Because at the end of the day, if you start winning football games, the pressure is released.
Well, that's certainly what Sarri will be hoping for. But for the sake of Cristiano Ronaldo, I can tell you that the latest reports here in Italy are that he may be rested for the match tonight. Not confirmed yet, and obviously we'll await the lineups for that match before knowing 100% as to Sarri's decision. But the pressure is on Ronaldo, of course, was brought in for big money to deliver a UEFA Champions League. Keep in mind, his form in terms of goals scored this season has still been very strong. It's just he hasn't had that consistent impact under Maurizio Sarri this season that Juventus fans would be hoping to see. It doesn't help last week, as we discussed, with his sister taking to social media to vent some frustration. But Ronaldo does need to get himself back to the top of his game, because if Juventus are to win, obviously the Champions League, but first and foremost the Serie A this season, he needs to be regularly performing at a high level.
Yeah, well, this show's all about sisters at the moment. That's the second sister that's got a mention. Let's talk about Lazio and Fiorentina now. Well, they've got to bounce back, Lazio. So now I think you'll agree with me here. There are no second chances now. They cannot afford to drop any more points. If they're going to really catch Juve, go past them, no more mistakes from them.
Well, that's right. And as we said, Juventus play tonight. So the 4-point lead at the moment for Juve could become 7.
And mentally, deep down, it's very difficult to keep raising that bar. That's why I say if it goes to 7 points, Lazio in the deep down inside, they might be saying, this gap is already too much for us to scale.
Well, certainly a tough task. And I think, look, the Lazio players under Inzaghi have been very professional and very consistent, as I said, and that has been the key all season for Lazio. I think at this point, they will be wanting to respond. The defeat at Atalanta midweek will hurt. I'm not expecting them to drop off just yet. But yes, I do agree, similarly to as we saw in the English Premier League, Chelsea-Manchester City, that if that advantage for Juventus does creep up a little more, then maybe that will be that. And Lazio will switch off and just look to confirm a top 4 spot and return to the UEFA Champions League.
Let's talk about Europe. Milan and Roma is an important fixture because it does have European significance. And it's a nice game. 2 great clubs, of course, huge brands in Italian football. What do you make of that one?
It will be a great game, this one. Milan and Roma obviously have just returned from the break. Milan with that extra game against Juventus in the Coppa Italia semi-final. So, look, a positive start for Milan on their return. Of course, still no Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who is still out through injury.
If I tapped you on the shoulder, Adriano, moments before you were getting ready for that match and told you what would happen, you would have called me a mad. You would have put me in a straitjacket and said I was telling you things of dreams. But it is crazy. It's just a crazy season. But we are really pleased that everything is back live. And as far as football is concerned, lockdown is over. Parma and Inter. Just very quickly about Inter. Their title hopes look all but gone. I think that would be a miracle. But what about their season? I mean, they were really Jekyll and Hyde. They were going well at one stage, and then they just dropped off. What happened?
Well, a number of new faces, of course. Antonio Conte, the manager in his first season at the club. It was going to take them some time to gel and hit their best form consistently. And I think we've seen that in the second half of the season. Inter Milan, no doubt about it, have one of the most promising squads going.
You never know. They certainly are a pleasure to watch. They score a lot of goals. Great to have you. You can go outside now and relax for the rest of the day. We are allowed to say that, of course, and it's fantastic getting Adriano back with us and being back on with Euro Connect. Time for us to go for a brief break, but Spanish La Liga awaits, and that man, Paco, is waiting for us after the break. Stay with us.
That is